Our American idealized values are based on three great lies. The first is an assumption that we are all equal. All people are not perceived or treated equally, and all people in this country do not have equal access to opportunities that might make them more equal. Moreover, the assumption that treating everyone the same way leads to equality is the second great lie, which is the golden rule works. Doing unto others, interpreted to mean treating others the way you want to be treated, presumes that everyone is like you and wants what you want. And that leads to the third lie, that since we are more similar than we are different, it's better to focus on how we are alike and not talk about the differences. Every spiritual and religious tradition has laws and principles. Our UU principles include justice, equity and compassion in human relations, and respect for the interdependent web of all existence of which we are a part. We're all connected in a very complicated web of humanity. We all belong to something greater than ourselves. We all belong to one another. So to participate in the creation of beloved community is to create an environment where we feel we belong, where we are seen and welcomed. It means to draw a circle that pulls people in, not pushes them out. It means to not call people out when we disagree with them or feel that they are factually or morally wrong. It means that we call them in to have a conversation, to inform, explain, and to listen. The goal is not to agree to disagree. The goal is to agree to understand. The goal is to create a vessel large enough to hold what may be disparate ideas. Just because you disagree with me doesn't mean that one of us is wrong. But that position is very hard to hold when you know that one of us is wrong and it's not you. Every day we are called to live into our values. We get clear about what we believe, and then we work to align our beliefs with our behaviors and not live into the great American lies. It's hard to do in this world of temptations and contradictions and binary thinking and threats to our perceptions of our own humanity. That is why we do much of this work in community, with one another. So come, let us worship together and work on our stuff. On what shall we shed our collective light? What aspect of our lives remains in the shadows? What embers of our spirit might be revived by the breath of life? Let us light the chalice, shedding light upon our community and lighting the way on our collective journeys.
We are a gentle, angry people, and we are singing, singing for our lives. We are a gentle, angry people, and we are singing, singing for our lives. We are a justice-seeking people, and we are singing, singing for our lives. We are a justice-seeking people, and we are singing, singing for our lives. We are a land of men many colors, and we are singing, singing for our lives. We are a land of many colors, and we are singing, singing for our lives. We are queer and straight together, and we are singing, singing for our lives. We are queer and straight together, and we are singing, singing for our lives. We are a gentle, loving people, and we are singing, singing for our lives. We are a gentle, loving people, and we are singing, singing for our lives.
Welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Community Church of Santa Monica. I am Kikanza Nuri Robbins, your worship associate. We acknowledge that our church building and the homes of most of our members are on the traditional, ancestral, and unceded land of the Tongva people. These are people who lived here and cared for this land for thousands of years. We recognize and mourn the great harm inflicted on the indigenous people of this land and our entire country. We lift up their grace, their resilience, and their relationship with these sacred lands. The Reverend Jeremiah Callanday, who serves this congregation as its developmental minister, is away today. Our worship team is delighted to be joining you in our online sanctuary this morning. We are grateful for the many, many talents that they bring to producing this service. Today, we welcome Dr. Mushim Ikeda as our honored guest worship leader. As a baby boomer in rural Ohio, Dr. Ikeda's was the only Japanese American family in the community. Her experience of oppression, assimilation, and resistance are very personal. Her spiritual journey includes time in Michigan, where she organized a Zen Buddhist temple. She now lives in California, where she teaches at the East Bay Meditation Center in downtown Oakland. Welcome, Dr. Ikeda. Unitarian Universalism is not defined by creed or dogma, but is guided by principles that affirm the worth and dignity of every person and encourage an individual search for truth and meaning. We honor the wonder of existence and believe that we are all connected to each other and to the interdependent web of life. Our beliefs are drawn from scripture and science, nature and philosophy, personal experience, and ancient tradition. We are an open, affirming, and welcoming congregation. We are diverse in backgrounds, social locations, gender identities, ethnicities, sexual orientations, spiritualities, and philosophies of life. We are united in our desire to create a diverse, beloved community, to live the principles of our faith, and to serve the wider world. We welcome all of you who worship with us from Santa Monica across the country to the Atlantic Ocean. Whether this is your first time with us or you have worshiped here all your life, you are welcome here this morning. Please join us after the service for our Zoom coffee hour. There'll be a number of opportunities to join different small groups, each with a different discussion topic or conversation, and an opportunity to get to know one another more deeply. There will be a small group where you can talk with our honored guest. And so we hope that you will join us then. The links to the Zoom room will be posted right there below on your screens, as well as in our UUSM Facebook group. So there are a number of places you can find it. We know that many of you have said that finding the different links is like going on a scavenger hunt. We hope it's more like a treasure hunt, and we also hope that it is easier and easier each week to find the place that you want to go, because we really want to engage with you. We offer many programs to serve our congregation and to be of service to the world. So if you're interested in learning more and you're new to this community, join us for a visitor meetup after the service. And you'll notice in the chat box below several times the leader of our new members committee will provide the information for where you can go for that meetup. There's lots and lots of other stuff going on, and for more information about those activities and ways to get involved, take a look at our website and take a look at our newsletter at uusm.org. Again, welcome, get involved. We're really glad you are here.
Hi everyone, it's Sonder, your Director of Music at UUSM. I hope you have been enjoying the music, the videos that we've been producing as much as we've been enjoying producing them for all of you. Now, we are preparing for an Earth Day concert in April, and we would love for you to join us. If you are not part of the choir already, and if you are interested in singing with us, please shoot me an email, music@uusm.org. Just tell us you're interested. We rehearse Thursday nights over Zoom from 7:30 p.m. to about 9:15 p.m. And those rehearsals are going to start this March. So if you're interested in singing with us, if you've always thought of singing with the choir, you are welcome to join us. Again, the email is music@uusm.org. Hope to see you soon.
El amor es la enseñanza de esta iglesia.
Love is the doctrine of this church.
Buscar la verdad es su sacramento y el servicio es la oración.
The quest for truth is its sacrament and service is its prayer.
Vivir juntos en paz.
To dwell together in peace.
Buscar el conocimiento en la libertad.
To seek knowledge in freedom.
Servir a la humanidad en comunión.
To serve humankind in fellowship.
Así es como convenimos unos a otros.
Thus do we covenant with each other.
From all that dwell below the skies, let songs of hope and faith arise. Let peace, goodwill on earth be sung through every land by every tongue.
Good morning. This morning's story is about two sisters. The older sister, Aisha, who's in 5th grade, and the younger sister, Tish, who's in 3rd grade. Now, at their elementary school, every year at the end of the year, there's a big carnival. There are even skits that get put on in the auditorium. And the whole thing has a theme. All the games are themed, all the skits are themed, even the food has a theme. And every year, the 5th graders pick the theme, and the whole school, every class from preschool through 5th grade, participates. They have a booth or a skit, or they make the costumes, or they're in charge of snacks. But the year that Aisha was a 5th grader, she was sitting in the auditorium as all of the 5th graders were putting forth all of these ideas. And she remembered 2nd grade. The theme that year was Dr. Seuss. And Dr. Seuss is great, but Aisha remembers her and her classmates not really having a lot of fun. They didn't really understand the theme all that well. And as more people put out ideas, she thought about last year in 4th grade. The theme was the jungle, and again, she remembers her and her classmates not really enjoying themselves. They didn't like that they had to come up with jungle-themed food. It wasn't really exciting. And she wondered how many other people didn't really enjoy what the 5th graders picked. So during lunch that day, she asked her friends, "Did you guys enjoy the theme when you were younger?" And most of them said no. It was kind of weird to, work really hard on something you didn't really want to do. And often suggestions were dictated by whether the 5th graders thought it would be fun. So maybe a 3rd grader had a really great snack idea, but the 5th graders could veto it. Well, she was thinking, and she walked home with Tish. He was like, "Tish, do you remember last year's theme?" And Tish was like, "Well, yeah. Did you like it?" "No, I don't really know anything about Voltron." So Aisha kept thinking and thinking. She said, "Mom, what if everybody got to vote on the theme for the end of the year carnival?" And Mom looked at her, said, "What if they did?" "Well, it would be a lot more fun for everybody." Tish piped up with, "It'd be a lot more fun for me. It's really not fun to have somebody tell you that you have to dress up as whatever a who is." And her mom said, well, what do you want to do about it if you don't think it's fair or fun?" And Aisha said, "We're going to take it to the principal." So the next day, during lunch, Tish and Aisha knocked on the principal's door and said, "We think everybody should have a say in the final carnival." The principal said, "Well, it's always been this way. The 5th graders pick and everybody participates." Tish said, "I don't want to do that again. It wasn't fun last year. I don't know what a Voltron is." And Aisha says, "I can remember 2 years where my friends and I didn't have any fun because the 5th graders got to tell us what to do, even if we had an idea about the jungle or whatever it was. If everybody's participating, everybody should get a say." The principal's only response was, "Well, this is the way it's always been." "Well, it's not fair," is what Aisha said. And Tish said what she said. Gotta love little sisters. So Aisha went to her teacher, who went to the other 5th grade teachers, who went to the 4th grade teachers, who went to the 2nd grade teachers, who doubled back to the 3rd grade teachers, who then went to the preschool teachers, and then swung back around to the kindergarten teachers. And a conversation was had. Many a conversation was had. And over the course of the next week, it was decided, for the first time ever, the 5th graders would pick 5 ideas, and then the whole school would get to vote. And surprise, surprise, a theme was picked. It was sports. Now, that might seem like a very limiting carnival theme, but everyone had fun because the kindergartners were like, potato sack races are a sport. So there was potato sack races. Somebody did a whole history of how basketball started, and it was a skit that was planned by the third graders. Suddenly everybody was super invested and super involved and having so much fun planning that by the time the end of the year rolled around, the carnival had not just the kids and their parents there, but uncles and aunts and cousins were so excited, having heard these kids so excited because they got to participate in something, that it was a massive turnout. And Aisha kind of looked around and said, wow, just took one fifth grader to think about how someone else felt for it to get wildly better for everybody else in school. And that's our story for today.
Be ours a religion which like sunshine goes everywhere. Its temple of space, its shrine the good heart, its creed all truth, its ritual works of love. Be ours a religion which like sunshine goes everywhere. Its temple of space, its shrine the good heart, its creed all truth, its ritual works of love.
We celebrate joys and sorrows as community. We celebrate the small and large joys, births, birthdays, jobs, retirement, family, good health, vaccine shots. In our community and in the circles of love that make up our worlds, we celebrate and we are grateful. We continue to mourn for our large and small losses, celebrations we didn't have, vacations we didn't take, jobs we no longer can go to, animal friends that are no longer with us, health that fails, bodies that mock us, sickness and death, and loved ones who have left this world. In our community and in the circles of love that make up our worlds, we weep for the things we no longer have. We grieve as we adjust to the love-shaped holes in our universe. And we give thanks for the time that we have had with the people that we love.
Inviting us to take a few minutes in silent contemplation, meditation, or prayer. Perhaps taking a few deep breaths, relaxing, and dropping down into that space in which we connect with ourselves, with one another, with all living beings. and preparing to shift from this period of meditation and contemplation, I'll invite the bell of mindfulness 3 times. This is a quotation from Sonia Renee Taylor, author of The Body is Not an Apology. We will not go back to normal. Normal never was. Our pre-corona existence was never normal other than we normalized greed, inequity, exhaustion, depletion, extraction, disconnection, confusion, rage, hoarding, hate, and lack. We should not long to return, my friends. We are being given the opportunity to stitch a new garment, one that fits all of humanity and nature. Greeting. And thank you for inviting me to be in spiritual community with you today, February 21st in 2021. The second year of the global COVID-19 pandemic, a time in which climate crisis is impacting every part of our planet in multiple and interconnected ways. My name is Mushim, Patricia, Ikeda. My pronouns are she, her, hers, and I live on unceded land of the Confederated Villages of the Lishan Ohlone, more conventionally known as Oakland, California. What is anti-oppression spiritual life and practice? Is this an important question for you, as it is for me? Might it potentially become a living koan, a Zen meditation question, that brings us into intimate contact with the deepest parts of ourselves? In other words, might this question be a path toward our own healing and wholeness? Anti-oppression spiritual life and practice. Might this be a unifying field of energy that calls to us, witnessing cruelty and suffering within ourselves and our societies? A question that cries out for the end of cruelty, the end of suffering that results from the hoarding of wealth and power by the few at the expense of the many. For me, what is anti-oppression spiritual life and practice is my core as a socially engaged Buddhist, as a human being. It expresses my spiritual faith and encompasses my spiritual doubt. My deepest fears that we, as human beings, may not find a path forward together. It might be said to be what Christian theologian Paul Tillich called my ultimate concern, that which defines me as a human being. For, as Tillich wrote in the small and powerful book Dynamics of Faith, published in 1957, quote, existential doubt and faith are poles of the same reality, the state of ultimate concern. Once again, quote, existential doubt and faith are poles of the same reality, the state of ultimate concern. End of quote. In my own tradition, Zen Buddhism, we talk about great faith, great doubt, great determination, all co-arising in the potent and continually unfolding process that is so-called everyday life. I turned 67 this year, and my initial Buddhist training was in Michigan and Toronto in the Korean Zen tradition, starting in 1982. My spiritual training has been both as a monastic renunciate, practicing under a complete vow of poverty, and then, as a result, a literally penniless single mother slowly transitioning back to lay life. And through the support of spiritual friends and family, gradually stabilizing my finances and my physical and mental health as I raised my Buddhist child here in Oakland, California, one of the most diverse urban areas in the United States. My monastic training in the United States, in Canada, and in South Korea from 1982 through 1988 was actually at the heart of why embodied anti-oppression spiritual life and practice has been so deeply important to me. It was during those years that I witnessed the huge and crushing forms of institutionalized patriarchy, and more than witnessed, was crushed by them. I can truly say that my unexpected path as a mother of a spirited Buddhist child, now almost 32 and sheltering in place with me here in this very small apartment, is what saved me. And I have dedicated all of my practice, all of my spiritual commitment to trying to do my part to co-create the world in which I want him to live. If you are a parent, a guardian, a grandparent, a friend to young people, perhaps you know firsthand that burning desire. My Buddhist vows are bodhisattva vows and precepts from the Northern or Mahayana school of Buddhism. These are the vows of His Holiness the 14th Dalai Lama, the Venerable Thich Nhat Hanh, and many hundreds of thousands of Buddhists who, like me, feel called to show up in the various circumstances of our varied lives and ask this simple question: how can I help? I love the concept of prefigurative activism. My spiritual home in the East Bay Meditation Center in Oakland, which has a diversity and social justice-centered mission, is an experimental act of prefigurative activism, now in our 16th year. In my understanding, prefigurative activism means that simultaneous to strategizing and organizing and engaging in the long haul of liberatory social movements, we also plant ourselves firmly in the present moment. And we ask ourselves as collectives and as individuals, how can I manifest and we manifest right here, right now, the world in which I and we want to live? And then, imperfect as all things are, We do our best to push the envelope, to innovate, to challenge, to create, to dream and build into being actions and organizations that act as models of what is possible on a larger scale. Prefigurative activism could be free street acupuncture for 3 hours. It could be a beautiful and vibrant community meal served on tables placed end to end down a city block. It could be patiently and with commitment modeling wearing well-fitted masks and physical distancing during a pandemic. What is the world you want to dream into being? What does it look like, act like, sound like, taste like, smell like, feel like? We know the enormous tolls of racism, misogyny, transphobia, homophobia, classism, ableism, xenophobia. We may know what we want to resist, to fight against. Are we capable of acts of wise love, of deep listening, of struggling with the very real differences between us and among us to embody what it is we want? It has been said in my faith tradition, Buddhism, that just as the great oceans all have the same taste, the taste of salt, so too the Dharma, the Buddhist path of wisdom and compassion, has but one taste, the taste of liberation. The question that I leave you with, because I join with you in this question, is, how can I embody liberation with you at exactly this moment, in exactly this place, exactly in this connection, this relationship that is connecting us heart to heart across so many boundaries of time, of space? May all beings be well and happy. May all be free from suffering and the causes of suffering. And together, may we all attain perfect peace.
We are a community that works for more than ourselves. Our practice here at UUSM is to dedicate half of our Sunday offerings to organizations that are doing hard work in the world, work that resonates with our Unitarian Universalist principles. The other 50% of the offering is used to support the life of our church. This month, half of our offerings will go to the People Concern, one of Los Angeles County's largest social service agencies. They provide and advocate for those affected by homelessness and domestic violence. We also encourage you to give to the general fund, and that's where the other half of our offering will go this morning. We're not worshiping in our building, nor can any of the rooms on our campus be used by the many groups that have met here for years. So if you are able, and we know that some of you are not, please give. We really appreciate your generous support. Now, there are 3 ways to give. You can give over text, through our website, or by mailing a check. No instructions needed for mailing a check. Through our website, just go to uusm.org and follow the links across the top to get to donate. On your smartphone, text the number that you now see on the screen, 844-982-0209, and then input the donation amount and the code where the funds will be posted. The first time you do this, you have to fill out a registration form, but after that, it's very simple and very quick. To make a generous congregation contribution, that's just to the general fund, use the code GCC. Or you can use the QR code that you see on the screen. So whatever you do, whether you give a one-time donation or whether you set up a recurring payment for a pledge or for some other purpose, your giving makes a difference, and we are grateful.
You're broken down and tired of living life on a merry-go-round, and you can't find the fighter, but I see it in you, so we gon' walk it out. Move mountains, we gon' walk it out. Move mountains, and I'll rise up, I'll rise like the day, I'll rise up, I'll rise unafraid, I'll rise up, and I'll do it 1,000 times again. I'll rise up, high like the waves, I'll rise up, in spite of the ache, I'll rise up, and I'll do it 1,000 times again. For you, for you, for you, for you.
When the silence isn't quiet and it feels like it's getting hard to breathe, and I know you feel like dying, but I promise we'll take the world to its feet. Move mountains, bring it to its feet. Move mountains, and I'll rise up, I'll rise like the day, I'll rise up, I'll rise unafraid, I'll rise up, and I'll do it 1,000 times again. For you, for you, for you, for you.
All we need is hope, and for that we have each other. I said for that we have each other. Oh, we will rise, we will rise, we will rise. I'll rise up, rise like the day, I'll rise up, in spite of the ache. I will rise 1,000 times again and again and again.
And we'll rise up, high like the waves, we'll rise up, in spite of the ache, we'll rise up, and we'll do it 1,000 times again. For you, for you,
Oh freedom, oh freedom, oh freedom, freedom is coming. Oh freedom, oh freedom, oh freedom, freedom is coming.
Oh freedom, freedom is freedom, freedom is freedom, freedom is coming. Oh yes, I freedom, freedom is freedom, freedom is freedom, freedom is coming. Oh yes, I know. 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 Oh yes, oh freedom, freedom, oh freedom, oh freedom, freedom is coming. Oh yes, oh freedom, freedom, oh freedom, oh freedom, freedom is coming. Oh yes, I know.
May the day be well, may the night be well. May the midday hour be well also. May all manner of things be well. May all beings without exception be well and happy.